What's up, y'all? God woke me up a little earlier today, so I think He wanted me to just be up and be attentive. So I'm locked in watching, seeing what He's showing me. So before anything on stream, I want to invite Him. Dear Lord Jesus, I thank You for revealing so many new insights to me, Lord. I ask that You allow the conversation we done talked to come to fruition, Lord. I pray that You give me the strength to trust that You have equipped me with the skills to be a profitable trader. Just know what setups to take, what setups not to take, Lord. I pray that You allow me to chart and be so specific in my charting that I know my entries and my exits. Lord, I pray that You allow myself and the viewer, both the viewer and myself, to grow in our faith and understanding through reading Your word, Lord, to stay grounded on Your biblical principles and not to chase after the money, not to lust after things that aren't of You, Lord. I pray that anything that's not supposed to be in our lives You remove, Lord. And I pray that You just open doors and speak through me, Lord, through Your Holy Spirit. When I read Your word, give me new revelations that only You can give, Lord. I pray that You allow myself and the viewer to grow in our faith and our understanding, but also in our relationship. I pray that anyone that You want to see this stream sees it, Lord. If You want me to pray for someone, that they come in and ask for prayer, Lord. And I pray that You just keep using me as a vessel for Your purposes. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. But I realized, like, God has given me the platform to show y'all my wins, my losses, all of it, but overall just show you the growth. And I realized, like, all the growth I'm making, all the times where y'all see me like kind of come up, realize like this isn't just because like I was doing something right, you know. I realized like I messed up so many times in my life and been at the same point where I felt like I wasn't progressing, right? Because sometimes we have this sense of knowing what we thinking we know what we should where we should be in life, and I realize like everything does happen for a reason, but at the same time leaning on your own understanding, letting fear and doubt take you. Like I've been drawing out where the market's gonna go this since I started trading in January, but since I blew that account, I didn't realize it. But I've been walking in fear, just being scared to take trades because what if I lose? And I realized like God didn't give us a spirit of fear, so where's that fear coming from? It's coming from Satan. And I realized like this is where I'm stepping out. So y'all seeing the journey, like this is a big turning point for me where I'm not being afraid to take trades. I'm jumping in when my levels get hit because I know where the market's going. And that's something I was praying to God for. Just confidence to trust Him, even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain. But I realize like when God bless you with something, He will not give you something that you're not equipped for. And I realize like He's been having me document my losses, having me learn through this process so much. So it's like I'm not gonna worry if it's what He's calling me to do. I'm gonna know it's what He's calling me to do. I'm gonna step out in faith and just take the step to get to where I'm trying to be. I realize like trying on this stream, talking to Him, praying, that's already getting the right steps to take. So y'all seeing like they come up live. So yeah, I just want to share that. Okay, so sellers are sitting here pushing price down. So when this line is broke to the upside, so this should have been an entry right here. Because as soon as it had already pulled down, so when it broke this, I should have knew. Okay, it's gonna go here. That was a play. Okay. So now what I'm seeing is there's a level of sales here, but now I'm noticing this is where it's wicking too. So this shows me there's a level of sellers here. Let me drop it like right here. Because notice it sold here. It sold off. Like it was already selling, but it broke through this. But then it came here again, right? And then it sold off. You see it sold off again. So that shows me that there has to be sellers sitting here in this point, right? This is sold off this line. But then we come back, what do we see? It broke up and then it's selling off. And even now, what do we see? It's wicking. So that shows me the sellers are still there. So now I know, okay, sellers are sitting here pushing price down. And this is on a 4-hour time frame that I'm noting this. So what does that tell me? If it pulls down, right? If this line is broke, that means there's no longer sellers there. So what does that mean? Bullish potential. And when it broke out of it, where did it go? It went all the way up here. So now I know, okay, this is also in the level. So what I'm going to do, clone this, and then I'm going to mark this. Is when it broke out of this, like when it broke from here, look, it broke from here and it went all the way here. So this shows me that when, here, let me do this too. Sign in my account, make sure that's but what this shows me is when this level is broke, like it breaks above this. Let me go ahead and set alert here. Okay, so this hasn't formed above though. I guess it's technically on it, but that shows me, okay, if we can hold above here, we can go here to this level. What else do I see in this? I would say these levels are playing pretty consistent, but let's also note the trend of the market. So it was consolidating here and then it pulled down, had a higher low, higher low, then it chopped again, pushed down. So now we see a lower low, but then we had a second push, a lower high. Okay, now we see this push down a little bit, it goes up, right? So making a higher low potentially, then it pushes right here, then it pushes. We're kind of seeing it might be pushing down, but that's why right now, since this is a higher low, right, it could be trying to form another higher low here and then shooting, but the same way is doing that, right, which would be switch it to uptrend, it could also do this. So we see came all the way down, came up, came down, came up. Now what it shows me is these candles is lower volume in these candles. So what I realize is it could be now pulling down and then make a lower high down. Like it could be doing that. So we don't really have enough information to know yet. So let's drop down and see what the 1 hour is showing us. What is it showing me? It's trying to fight because what's happened is selling off this. Okay, it sold off it. It came up, higher lows. Like let's note this pattern too, because I realize like these patterns don't be random. Like these be the market showing you where it wants to go. So higher low, higher high. So higher high, higher low. Pull back again, makes another higher low. Then it pulls up, but these are like weak levels. So, see, this isn't really low, high volume. So I'm not really checking these levels and thinking these are consistent, because it's still an uptrend if you're marking these levels. But look at the volume in it: 2.49k, 2.5. Like none of these have much volume. So this shows me that one, what it might be doing is like just playing around the zone to show you, hey, I'm trying to break above so it can keep going up, right? So if it closes above this when the volume kicks in at 6, when New York session starts, right, is it could shoot. And if it breaks above here, what I'm going to do is I could take a long, and what I'm going to do is take a long, and we're going to note where it went on the 1 hour. So realize this is where the lowest point it went. Just marking it based off this, like using the information this gave us. And what does it show? When it's broke above, It went to this level. Is what do we see? It broke above, boom, kind of push, right? But when we go to the 4 hour, we actually have a level where it broke. So when it went back, okay, boom. When it broke above this, what happened? It went all the way up here. So now I could take this level to here, because I've seen it get there when it broke out here on the 4 hour. So now when I drop down to the 1 hour, I'm like, okay, boom. Now that's a perfect entry. Because what does this show me? Okay, it can go to here. So now I'm taking it, with the volume, letting it shoot. Even and right here, I can expect it to start consolidating. But as soon as it starts consolidating here, what am I doing? I'm trailing my stop loss here, because now I know it's why it's consolidating. It shouldn't break out this box. But since I'm getting in all the way here, I'm already in profit. So that's where it's going to be like, okay, boom. Now, mind you, the same way we just showed it going up, like how it can go on an uptrend, right? Boom, boom. Here, I already drew the line here. Right? What we see is this was still here. I'm trying to see the volume. $27K. That was the last high volume, real like high volume. These are high volume. Oh, not even. See, so this is 20 at 11 a.m. is when it was really stopped having volume. 27K. Then what happens? 56K. So this is a good amount of volume too. But we see a drop. So at 12 p.m. right is where the drop really happened. Notice this is low volume. 1 p.m. 16. 6. Like all this is low volume. So to me, these moves aren't really as important. So what I really see is this: that when it had volume, what did it do? It made a lower low, right? And then it came. It made a higher low. A lower high. Then it bounced, right? Making this low. Right here. So this is a higher low, but then it shot up, right? So now we have a higher high, and then we have this. So for me, since none of this is high volume, I still want a strong push to make a higher high. That makes me think when the volume kicks in, that's where it's looking to make a higher high. So I can ride that. But realize if it's going to reverse, what is it going to, like, just keeping the market structure, it has to do this. Right? So that's what I can expect if it's going to continue in this uptrend. But what I also realize is if it's going to reverse, what do we need to see? Boom. Then pull back. And then boom. Pull back, right? And then since that's low volume, we're not even worried about that. Now, what I realize is if it's going to pull down, let's say this is the high. Okay, we try to get that. We didn't have enough momentum. Now it's going to be like, okay, lower low. Boom. And it's going to keep going that. And then boom. Now what we know is that there's a higher number of sellers sitting at this line. So if we see it pull back down here, I know if it breaks down past this level that it's going to go where it's been. When it broke under this, where do we see? When it broke under here, where'd it go? Down here. So this shows me if I get in here, this is another level of TP. So what am I going to do? Mark that. Like, bro, this is what I'm saying. Like, you can prepare for what the market's doing. And I realize this is why God wanted me up early, because one, I already stretched and did all my, here, let me see. Let's see, is this on the 4 hour that shows us? Yeah, it actually does. Shows me here. So that's a good level. Okay, and then 4 hour shows. Like, what I like doing is marking my time frames on higher. But look, once again, what do we see? High volume, 100K, 180K, 100K, 22K. So what I realize is, like, this isn't much volume. In comparison to these candles, this is not volume at all. These three candles don't even combine to make 100K. So what I realize is these aren't as valid. And I realize volume is going to tell you a lot. So that shows me, okay, when the volume isn't kicked in, it can't really keep the structure like it wants to. So what I realized is that this is really the end of the trend. Is at 11, because at 3 it didn't have volume. At 7 it didn't have volume. Like, these aren't volume. So what I realized is stop it here. Okay, let's see what the market structure was off that. Boom, it came down, made a lower low, made a new higher low, right? But then it makes this candle. So this is what we have so far. We have a high, a higher high, a lower low, and a lower low. I mean, a lower high. I mean, a higher, a high, a higher high, a low, and a lower, higher low. So what I realize is that from this, it could potentially really be making a lower low, as far as it could be like about to continue up, right? Because if, let's say this is the low, it's going to go here, right? And then we can continue seeing it build there. But the same way it did that, it could also come here, bounce, right? Bounce. And then it would just didn't have enough volume to push. That's why I made this little run. And now it's pushing down. Like, let's say now it's like, okay, boom. Make a higher, still a higher low, but now it makes a lower high. Now it makes a lower low. Now it makes a lower high, lower low, and goes from there. So what I realize is, this is why I gotta look at the volume. And that's something I never really looked at before. I was always just looking at what the market showed. Here is showing low volume. Where does the volume stop? Once again, going back. Okay, in comparison to these other ones, this is where the volume ended. So what this shows me is that the market was doing this. It pulled down. It came up. It made a higher low. Then it pulled up, and then it came here. Because this was the last thing. So what we see is a lower high. So what we can expect is a lower low, right? If it's keeping this uptrend, right? So what we can expect is, okay, I made this, let's say this is a lower high, but at the end of the day, what was it doing? It was already heading down. So what I realized is we could still be doing it. So it could be lower high, lower low, and keep going to a downtrend. I go to a downtrend, or it could boom, 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 and go. Now I'm trying to make, like, let's say this is the lowest point, it might have some more pullback, so it might make a new low. So if it keeps that uptrend, it might pull all the way down here to make a higher low, or stay here and keep going, but it's going to keep making higher lows. So we should give the market to show us. That's why for me, what I see right now is what's happening at this level. It is trying to break out. So what I'm going to keep noting is, okay, I want to see when this crosses up. So now I'm not worried if it crosses. What I want to see is when it crosses up. Why am I saying when it crosses up? Because what is it doing right now? It's wicking. It's not breaking it. See, I don't know why this alert is doing that. Because is it counting this little wick? Like, surely not, right? I'm gonna just keep watching it. We'll mark the level. Like, right now we watching the chart, so it doesn't really matter. But either way, what do we see? It breaks above. It gave me the indication. Oh, I just noticed it gave me the indication. Hold on. Whoa, it actually did give me the indication right here. Hold on. At 11. But look, it's still lower volume. This is low volume, but it already shows me an indication that it can break out to the upside. Like, hey, buyers are like, hey, we can break out. Sellers push it down. So what I'm looking for is for that volume at 6 to kick in. I think it's gonna shoot. So at 6, I'm looking for this long position, because you remember, this is where is the lowest has been. Like I said, we're gonna mark the lowest it's been, and then we're gonna target here, because that's where it went. We see that on the 4-hour. When it breaks out of here, this is where it wants to go. The market does not randomly test zones. It's like, I'm gonna show you where I want to go. So we could be like, for me, that's 12. Wait for it to play. If it holds above this, I know where it can go. But it's still not that much volume. So that's what we are waiting for. I'm going to use the bathroom. Then we're going to go get in a word. Here. My word to where we're going to be at. I believe we're on chapter 5. Yeah. So, give me a second. Bear with me. And what gives me more confidence, chat, is just seeing this. Notice how it was like yesterday we were counting that, right? But what we see is it makes this big move to the upside, pulls back, even makes this move to make a higher low, right? But then it makes an indication where it's a higher high. So now we have one, two, three higher highs, right? And then what do we need to see for it to continue this? We need to see a higher low. Notice this could be the higher low, right? And right now I notice this candle is getting fought down at this level. So it's already gave me an indication, right, that it could break out. And what happened? It got corrected. So now we can expect this to be where it's trying to make a new high. And where was it on the 4 hour when it broke through? It went all the way up here. So I realized this is a good zone for us to take because we know it at least is trying to go here. So regardless, to keep this trend, it needs to go up here. So I realized if I'm taking my entry here, just having good chart analysis, I'm gonna put my stop loss. Like I'm putting my take profit at that level, right? That we see on the 4 hour that I marked right here. And I'm keeping my stop loss under this line and letting it play. Because even if it fights here and it starts like consolidating once it gets here. Because I still think it'll break to at least here. You know? But even if it only goes here, we're already up profit because where we got in. But realize this is the potential it has to run to. So that's like things you gotta know. And the fact that it is literally consolidating, it's like, okay, boom. Look at the 4 hour. It's showing similar structure. It's looking to make a higher high. Because what do we see? Here, I said this. We see a big pull to the upside. We see a higher low. Higher than this low down here, right? And then we see another pull to the upside. Boom. And then what do we see? A higher low. So what I can expect is this to continue the pattern, make a higher high, right? Higher than this. And then maybe hit some pullback, make a higher low here, and then go. So me, I want to ride it to that new high. Because I realize that new high could be all the way up here. But even if it's just right here, still new high. You feel me? And I realize, what can we see? If I'm putting my stop loss here, right? Because I'm putting the stop loss because I trust my entry. I know this is continuing the uptrend because this is the bottom where the lowest point has been. I'm going to put my stop loss here and I'm going to let it keep going up because notice it goes into my stop loss, but then it would still make a higher low, so it still should be above here even when it pulls back to shoot. So either way, what am I looking at? I'm looking at it play its level all the way up to here. So I'm not panicking when I see this higher low break here. I wouldn't even panic. Because what I know is it would have to go all the way down here. So even if it wicks, it could get close to here, but it shouldn't actually stop and loss me out. And that's where I realized like this is where I gotta trust it. And I also just gotta track the market. Like if it shows a sign of reversal, okay, where's the reversal? But the fact that this candle keeps wicking up and down shows me like 6. I feel like when that volume kicks in, we might shoot immediately. So me, it's just like preparing for it. Notice, it doesn't even have to make much for that 2 bands. Really shouldn't even break here. I'm putting my TP lower too because I'm on that challenge right now. But realistically, that higher high could go all the way up here. That's what I'm saying. Like this is a $7,000 move. Like I trust in God. But let's continue reading the word. It says, "And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. Because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains, and caves and strongholds. And so it was, when Israel had sown, and the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. For they encamped against them, and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come unto Gaza, and left no substance for Israel, neither sheep nor ass, or nor ox nor ass." So what we realize is that because the people didn't choose to trust God, right? They chose to lean on their own understanding. What happened? They lost all the land. Realize there was a point where they had peace for 40 years. There was a time where they had everything they had dreamed of, you know what I'm saying? And what I realized is they lost it because why did they lose it? They lost it because they lacked faith in God, true faith. And I realized true faith in the Lord is trusting Him no matter the outcome, trusting Him and knowing He got you, you know? For me, I was wondering why God woke me up earlier this morning, but I realized I got to make my coffee this morning. I got to stretch. I got to pray and talk to Him a lot, and that kind of focused me, you know. And we were talking about like for trading, how I needed to trust my levels, how I need to be confident in knowing what the market is going to do based off what it shows me, not trading off my emotions. Because I realize if you trade off emotion, you're gonna have fear, you're gonna have doubt, you're gonna have worry, right? Even look at this stop loss. That stop loss, like the risk to reward, right, might look low, but I realize for me, I'm confident it shouldn't even touch my stop loss when that volume kicks in, because even now it's not breaking under that candle. So what I realize is when the volume kicks up, like this shows me right now, sellers are still pushing this price down. But notice it's no volume in the market. So when that market kicks in, there's no doubt in my mind it's going to shoot up to try to make that higher low. I mean that higher high. And what I realize is this is the current high. So it pushing up to here is not crazy at all. Just seeing how it's moving. So it'll probably hit my TP just boom automatically, right? Just by me just being patient. And I realize right now my TP is at 2,000, right? My stop loss is at 1,430, right? And what you could be like is why is your risk to rewards bad? But what I realize is for what I'm looking for right now, I'm not trying to I can't make too much because of my account size, right? So I gotta finish the challenge and I can make as much as I want, right? But what I realize is I trust this take profit level. It would be easy to take my take profit here at like 500 because I'm scared of what if it reverses. But what I realize is when you trust your trades, when you trust your setup, I see this as a high line. It already gave me an indication that it wants to break out, and what happened? It corrected. So now I can expect a continuation to make that high. But also what I see, or even down here, is that when the market ended, what happened? It was here. So this is a higher low. So what I can expect is that all signs are showing me it building up. But mind you, this is all low volume. So it shows me they want to push this up. And even now it's getting fought down, but it already showed me it can break out here with even low volume. So it shows me, hey, I can break out. So what I'm realizing is when that volume kicks out, all this is really all this really ain't nothing, right? So pullback, boom. Like either way, let's make that new high. Then it's gonna pull back and then boom. But for me, I'm not looking for a crazy play. I'm looking for what the market has already showed me it wants to do. It showed this is low volume. So are we worried about this candle? No. Like in comparison, this is where the volume start. 58K to 6K. So I'm not worried about really what this is doing. But even this is showing me it's still trying to make a higher high, higher low, higher high. Either way, it's still showing me it's trying to get here. But this is what really brings me comfort because this is making a higher low. So what I can know is it's probably going to try to push up off this to make a new high. So this is like consolidation right now, just it getting pushed down. So when it has volume, where can I expect it to go? There. So that's why I have my limit here because I trust that if when it breaks here, I can ride it to the upside because all the signs are posted. And then come down to this market, 103K. What happens? Low volume, low volume. What was it making here? So we had a low down here. We made a high. We made a low. What can I expect? A high. So this consolidation, like I said, even this is showing me it building up. Like, this is where I realized, like, bro, this is why you gotta chart and be confident in it. To me, this is such a strong level of stop loss because if it breaks here, it's reversing. But what I realize is if it breaks above this line, it should be no reason it just pulls back before. It should just keep pushing up. Because even now, what are we seeing? Is wicking is testing up, but even now, where is it wicking? It's not wicking above. It's still wicking above this line. So that's where it's a strong level. So I realized, like, the same way the children of Israel do evil against God, right? And then they lose what God had given them. I realized, like, when we lose faith, like, as far as I wrote in my training plan not to let a L, like I wrote here, right? Is because at the start when I first started trading, I had a lot of FOMO and I was like exercising, like God was teaching me different things. Okay, like, and I always write what I need to improve. So this first one was like I realized, okay, it's gonna show me the correction, it's gonna show me these things, and I didn't note it. But then there was times where I was ultimately learning. Oh, is it not? I was learning different skills, keep being disciplined, like, right? But I noticed and realizing, like, you'll reap the harvest. But then I'm learning to not chase money. I'm sticking to my trading plan, so I know the money will come, right? And then just realizing, like, this one hit for me yesterday. Trusting your levels on a higher time frame. My levels is showing me if it breaks above here, it's gonna go. But also trust that Jesus has equipped you with the skills to be able to know when to make trades and trust them. This, if I put 500, right? If I move my limit to 500, now it's a high chance that could get taken out because what happens when it was pulling down, it hit that. So what I realized is this is a strong level of stop loss because if it breaks under this, it's reversing. But what I realized is that that fear, that anxiety is so strong that it's like, oh, you can't put it there. Like, what if it gets hit, right? Oh, you lose your account, you blow it, bro. You can't have that fear because fear does not come from God. So what I realize is when I feel that fear, that's a chance for me to walk into that. So I'm not hesitating with that. That honestly brings me more comfort to know, okay, this is something that God wants me to do. And it's like I charted it up. I know what the market wants to do. So when it happens, I'm gonna take that trade and I'm gonna make my money. So there's no doubt in my mind this trade is gonna hit. And if it doesn't, cool. I'm okay with it. I trusted my charts and I trusted what the market showed me. This isn't a motion move. This is what is the market showing me. Because you see, I had all these levels marked for when it goes to the downside, but everything now is showing me it's on an uptrend. It made a higher high, right? It made a higher low, and then it started making a higher high right here. Even on the rest of the chart, what is it showing me? It shows an indication, correction. So what can I expect? The continuation. 4 hour. The volume stops here. I believe that's where the volume stop. Yeah. So 100 to 22. So I'm not really noticing this. Higher high, higher low. What does that show me? And notice the wick tested bottom and then it went up. So what I can see here is this expanding. Boom. Even now, what is it showing me? It's coming up, testing this. Hey, I'm trying to go up. That's the market telling you, hey, I'm telling you, like, this is where I want to go. I can break. This right here on that 1 hour brings me a lot of comfort. Because it shows me even on a low volume it's still making an indication. So what can I expect? Is all signs showing me, boom, it's going to the upside. So I'm being patient. When that volume kicks in, I know where it's going. And when it goes above that, that's when I'm going to take my trade and trust it. So that's what I'm saying, like, trust your levels. As far as if you mark this level, if you see how it's playing, what is happening here is sellers pushing the price down. So if it broke out here, it shows me it can break out. Like, indications don't just happen because they just happen, you know. And the last sign we had is it make a higher low, try to build up. Notice this wick happens down here too. So that shows me, hey, I try to test down, I couldn't stay down. And then it's consolidating because it's low volume. So what I can expect is it to shoot. All signs are telling me it's going to the upside to make a new high. So why would I worry about this fear that Satan's like, oh, what if it hits your stop loss? Oh, well, bro. Like, I'm trusting it, bro. Because all signs are telling me opposite. So I'm not going to let my fear be bigger than my faith. I'm going to trust that God has equipped me with the skills to see it. And if I hadn't woke up where I woke up, I would have never marked these lines. I would have never seen what was going on in the market. That's why I realized that's divine timing, because God's timing is perfect. So what I realized is this is where I'm choosing to walk out in faith and trust God over my fear and my anxiety that Satan tries to put on me. So I want you to step out. It says, "For they came out with their cattle, their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude. For both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord." So what do we see? These same people that they let live with them, right? They were under them. They end up taking the power from them. And what the Israelite people should see, right? Mind you, hindsight is 2020. But what I noticed is that the same way the Israelite people were under the Egyptian people and God ended up elevating them, right? Is the same way that in turn God did the same thing for the other people. I believe that he allowed the enemies of God to take over Israel so Israel will call out to him so he could deliver them. But I realized if they just trusted in the Lord, they never would have went through that. And I realized from my training journey, for a long time I was leaning on myself. I was thinking I knew it all, and I was getting prideful. I wasn't grateful for the money. But now I realize, like, when you start charting, when you're not chasing the money, the market is going to show you with certainty where it's going. Like, I have so much confidence because I have the higher time frames are both showing me it's trying to make a higher high. Okay, not only do my levels show it, then the indication pops up. Now it's just waiting for the volume to kick in. That's four things telling me. And the fact that I woke up, like the timing I woke up, I normally wake up at 5. I woke up at 4:20 out of nowhere, and I was like, God, why am I up? Now I realize God was wanted to show me, like, Reg, early bird gets the worm, because this is the things you would have noticed if you just woke up and now you just jump in at 6. Oh, you probably would have missed it. But now I'm already ready. Where all I have to do is I see that going green, I'm taking that buy. And I'm letting it ride. And I'm rocking out with it. Win or loss, I know I waited for the market to show me. I didn't assume. This is not me leaning on my own understanding. This is me reading what is the market showing me. It is making higher lows, higher low, higher, like, try to make here. Let me just boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that next move? Up. And what is it even showing here? Still making up. Even if you were to count these. Right? But notice, it's consolidating. Boom. Makes this. Even counting that makes a higher low. So where can we expect it? Higher high. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Regardless of how you look at it, the market is making a higher low. If you want to count this low volume moves, or you want to stop it right here, it's looking to make a higher high. Like, that's just what it is. And I realize, like, bro, it's impossible to miss it when you just really read the chart. Like, even dropping down to the 4 hour. Going up to the 4 hour. Boom. Higher low. Higher high. Higher low. Higher high. So why would I be worried about it reversing if it's showing me on all the higher time frames it's trying to make that higher high? That's what I realized, like, bro, fear is really Satan trying to block you from walking in your blessing, because this is literally an A+ setup. But I realized if I listen to the fear that came with my stop loss being lower, it's like, bro, I would never truly see. I would never get in this trade, bro, because I would just have fear. But I realized, like, that fear doesn't come from God. So if I burn that account, I give it to God. Like, I submit this account to the Lord, because I realized, Lord, the only reason why I have the confidence to jump in is because you gave me the confidence. And I realized, like, I'm done living in fear, bro. So I'm going to take this trade, bro. When it goes above that, I'm getting in. I'm trusting that it's going to be bullish. I'm trusting that it's not going to pull back and break my stop loss, because that's trusting a higher time frame. But most importantly, I trust that even if like, because I truly believe it's gonna hit. I believe it's gonna hit 100%. But even if it didn't, I realized that was what God wanted to happen. He wanted me at least to have the confidence to jump in the trade. That's growth. You know what I'm saying? And I can't explain why did I jump in this trade. All signs were showing me on the higher time frames, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, that it was going to make a higher high. So I trusted that. When it broke my level, I got it. This indication into the correction shows me, okay, this next one break. But at the same time, if it doesn't break this line and it pulls down, what does that mean? We don't force a trade. But once again, if even where it's forming right now, what is this making? A higher low. So what's again? It's like, bro, I feel like that's even more confirmation. Boom, boom. Let's say boom, 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 boom. Even if you want to do boom, 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 you know. So that's what I'm kind of waiting on. But that's 2 minutes until, so we're going to let it rock for that 2 minutes. We're going to finish this mini passage right here. So now they're getting impressed. They cry out to God, and let's see what the Lord does. That the Lord sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I brought you forth from Egypt, and brought you forth from the house of bondage, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of those that oppressed you, and drave them out before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Realize that they feared. What does God tell us? Not to fear. So the fact that I'm fearing this trade, as far as I'm feeling this anxiety, it's like, Lord, give me the strength to trust the higher time frames, but to ultimately trust that you have given me the knowledge to be able to take this trade and know what the market is doing. The fact that it's building up here, this is my confirmation. Okay, when it closes, it's already rising up. This is going to break this level. I'm gonna take the buy, and you're going to see me make 2 bands live, because I know that God didn't put me here, didn't break this fear and this anxiety for nothing. I realized as soon as I started making this trade, the natural urge, oh, you gotta put the stop loss at 500. I would have got stop loss out, bro, because this isn't the strongest stop loss level. Because when it was doing a pullback, it was still in there. But this is a strong level. It should never play this. So I realized when it gets up here, I'm still letting the trade ride, because now I can trail my stop loss at a valuable thing and profit. Even here, this is still profit. So I'm not tripping. I'm going to let it keep fighting. So it's like, bro, trust God most importantly above anything. So let's see what the market does. Like, this is a moment to trust him. And I realize I'm so glad that I'm streaming this, because this is me breaking out my fear, bro. I walk with the Lord, but I still have moments of fear and anxiety, bro. And I realize that doesn't come from God. That comes from Satan trying to get in your head, bro. And it's like, now there's momentum kicking in. Okay, let's see. But notice, if it doesn't go to this line, what am I not going to take? I'm not going to take a buy. So what do we see? Even continue. Now the volume's kicked in, because I believe now this training here, let me show you. Yeah, so it just began. So now it's volume in the market. So let's see. Now we just wait. But if it breaks up, we go. And if it switches the market, it switches the market. We move from there. So, like I said, let's see. So what this is showing me, boom, 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 boom. That's all I see. Even here, it pulls down, makes this new low. Where is it trying to go? Up. I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. That's why I trust in him. That's why I trust in him. Like, bro, I be just having to remind myself, bro, God got me, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to let fear, bro, and doubt worry you. Already now it's building up. It hit this level, it's wicking, but it's building up. And I'm dropped down to the 15-minute because I want to get my entry. Once it breaks above this line, even if it's not on the 1 hour yet, the 1 hour showing me is trying to make a higher high. The 4 hour showing me is trying to make a higher high. So why would I be worried about anything else. Like, trust it. The 4 hour, what is it trying to do? It made this low, it's trying to make a higher high. 4 hour, I mean 1 hour, it's trying to make it. On the 4 hour, it's showing it's trying to make a higher low. 1 hour is showing it's trying to make a higher low. So that's what I'm looking for. So when I keep dropping out, that's what I'm hoping. And like, bro, it's just like remembering that's what you're looking for, bro, and not rushing it. It's like, okay, boom. I want to see if my alert go off actually. So we gonna set an alert here for when it's, let's just say crossing, because if it crosses now, that's where it's going. So now we got the alert. See, I don't know why this does that. Like, it just went off, but it did not cross it. So it's like, I don't. Maybe I need to put crossing up. I'm trying to still learn the alerts for TradingView, because where is it putting my alert? Is it putting it at this line? Because I didn't cross it. Okay. Why? It's not. It's still yet to cross this line. Okay, let me say crossing up. I'm trying to learn the alert system, because I be sending alerts on my phone, but sometimes they don't go off, and I'm trying to figure out like, what do I need to tell this alert so it goes off properly? Because to me, it's like, that's kind of crazy, like that. Okay, so the price, let's say greater than. If that goes off, okay, yeah, I don't know why, because to me, what I'm looking at is that the market right now is right here. So how is it I think it's because the price broke above up here. I think that's what it's looking at. But still, like, everything's still telling us is building up for a higher high. So that's what we waiting for. We're watching the 15 for our entry, but we're waiting for it to break above this line. But like I said, at the end of the day, you can't rush it. You gotta just be patient. So let's get back to the word of the Lord. So we're on Judges chapter 6, verse 11. It says, "And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was in Ephraim, that pertained unto Josiah the Ezberite. And his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? Where be all his miracles where our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites." What I realized from this verse is that, one, what is noted? That it says pertain to Josiah the Ezraite, his son Gideon thirsted the wine. So what I realize is that we don't get how old Gideon is at this time. But what I realize is that regardless of his age, what does God say? The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. So even though Gideon doesn't see himself as a mighty man of valor, God calls him a mighty man of valor. So that's what I realize is that that's why God sees in us what we don't see in ourselves oftentimes. I think it's so easy to look at your circumstances, look at what you see in yourself, and think that that's final. Oh, I see myself as a sinner, so I'm going to call myself a sinner. But what God sees is different. God says I am perfected. It says in Hebrews, I believe it's Hebrews 10:14, that God has perfected and sanctified me. So what that means is that God did the work in me, and nothing I do can change that. I just got to trust in him. I got to trust his word that God was right, that even though I feel this way, even though I see myself all in this, Jesus' sacrifice didn't change based on me. So I can look at myself and be like, I'm saved, I'm redeemed. And that's where the first time that applies to our life, how we can be like, okay, boom, I shouldn't trust what I see. But what does he say? Like, Gideon's asking him, like, if you were for us, why are we going through these ups and downs? Why is all this happening? But do we see God curse him? Do we see God get angry at him for having this? No. It says, and the Lord looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent thee? He doesn't ask him like, why do you feel that way? He's like, trust in me. He ignores his fear, and that's what I realize. Like, sometimes we have to ignore that fear, that worry, that anxiety, like, because it's gonna come. Realize that when you're really walking in something that is God's calling on your life, it's going to be adversity. It's going to be moments of uncertainty. It's going to be moments of doubt. It's going to be moments of worry and of fear. And I realize that Satan is a liar. You know what I'm saying? That ultimately God is in control of your life. So what I realize is that we don't have to go, we don't walk by sight, we walk by faith. Meaning, even though I don't see myself being where I want to be, even though I don't see how God is working all this out, I trust that the same God that moved the mountains, in my life before, the same God that parted the Red Sea, is the same God that lives inside me, that empowers me to do everything he has called for me. And I realize that I will not fear, I will not worry about things I cannot control, but I will trust in him. Something I can choose to control daily is how much I trust in God, how much faith I have in God, how much ultimately, no matter how I feel or think, how much I trust God over what I feel, over what I think, over the anxiety that tries to plague my mind. Realize anxiety will come, fear will come, adversity will come, but we have a God that is the Prince of Peace, that surpasses all. God Almighty. God does not give himself these names for no reason. He wants you to know he is mightier than your obstacles in your life. He is the Prince of Peace. He will give you peace that surpasses all understanding. But what you need to realize is you have to go to him. You have to submit to him. You have to ask him, Lord, help me with my unbelief. Help me with my fear. Help me with my anxiety. Help me see, Lord, what you're calling me to do. So let me step out in faith even when it's hard. Lord, give me the strength to do it. I realize every single moment in this whole chapter, we don't see God say, why did you fear? Why did you? He goes back to his main objective. He's not even saying like, oh, why are you feeling this way? What does he say? Go in this thy might, thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent thee? Realizing like, if God sends you into whatever it is, right? Realize that he has already equipped you with the things. And I realized for me, I burned accounts on trading while I was leaning on my own strength. But I realized God has taught me the skill. God has taught me what to look for and how I can read the charts. So I'm not worrying and being anxious about things I can't control. I'm going to choose to trust. I'm going to trust the higher time frames. Okay, what is the higher time frame showing me? It still might be making a higher low and then trying to bounce. Okay, what is this showing me here? It's pulling back, but it's still a higher low. So what does this mean? If this forms a higher low, what does that show me? If this is forming a higher low, boom. But what happens? If it reverses, I have different limits. But what I'm not going to do is just be like, oh, dang, because it's going down right now, that means it can't be making a higher low. No, it still can. But realize, like, check your higher time frames. Check in with it because it should align. It builds on each other. And I realize like God's testimonies build on each other. What God has done in the past builds on what he's doing now. The same way his character does not fail. So if God told you not to fear not, I will help thee in the Old Testament, and that's the same God we trust in, why am I going to feel like God's not with me? Because I have moments of anxiety, that fear. What I realize is you feel fear because Satan doesn't want you walking in what God has called you to do. I noticed how even when it's going down, it still has not dropped below this. You see how it still has not broke below where my stop loss would be. This shows me and brings me more comfort that even if it pulls down, it's not breaking my levels. So what I realize is like right here, what do we see the EMAs? They cross, now they're playing right here. But look, on a higher time frame, they're not even close. And look, my stop loss is still down here. It's not even playing that. It's not even getting near that, right? Even on this time frame, it played it right as far as it would have been a boom. But realize the market's still up here. The 4 hours shows this is where it's been, and it's up here. So this resistance right here does not bring me anxiety and be like, dang, I don't know. Maybe I read the market wrong. It's like, no. The market's showing you, once again, okay, I'm trying to make it low. Now, if I can hold this low, like, if we see the low break under here, okay, now it's like that momentum might have changed. But as of right now, this is the lowest point it's been. So this is what I'm using as an indicator. Even down here, It has not been under this value except at this point, and that's where it wicked. So for me, this is a strong level because all this played above it. So if it breaks under this, what does that show me? It's going down. It's reversing. And notice, this is where what I'm saying, like, once again, notice how it's still wicking here. It's still not breaking that. If it still has not broke the system, why would you worry about it? Like, I feel like this is further confirmation that this is a good entry if this breaks above, because what did it do? Even when it went down, it didn't break above that. That's like, it didn't break under that, I mean. So what I realized is like, bro, you have to trust God's word over what you see. And it's like, I prayed, Lord, give me the confidence to, through it, like, I give this trading journey to you. If I need however many accounts I need to lose, however many losses I need to take, as far as I might lose money, but I realize it's not a loss if I learn the lesson. So however many lessons I need to learn along the way, I'm okay with that. Because people take years to learn trading. But I realize God has taught me so many lessons and so many, like, real big important lessons in such a small time frame. There's no doubt in my mind, like, this is what God's called me to do. Me streaming this, I'm showing you, like, yeah, I'm feeling anxiety, like, as far as, bro, I felt anxiety, like, dang, what if you jump in, Reg, and it doesn't work? But I realized that fear is a confidence booster. Now I don't look at fear as something that I shouldn't feel. It's like, you feel fear when something is trying to block you from walking in that, bro. Before I ran on the track, bro, I had fear of me pulling my, yesterday I went 21-6 in practice. Mind you, my goal for that meet, this meet this weekend, was 21-5. So that was God showing me, Reg, look where you're already capable of. This is in practice after I already did other reps. So when I'm running just that, it's no limit to me breaking that, bro. Breaking my goal that I already set. So it's like, go, Reg, like, don't let that fear conquer you. So realize fear is a natural feeling, but if you let that fear be greater than your faith, you're going to stop and you're not going to run. But like, I want to emphasize, listen to what continue. This is a conversation between Gideon and the Lord. And it says, and he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. He's like already unqualifying himself. Like, he's like, God, how can I do this when my family's poor? I was like, I'm not even like the most important in my family. I'm the least important. Like, realize God calls the unqualified. He calls the one that people wouldn't believe in because he wants to show his glory through you. And I realized that it's such a more powerful testimony when you seem unqualified for it, but God qualifies the unqualified. Because let's see what he says. So that's him coming to God and seeing like how he feels about it. What does God say? And the Lord said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Israel man, the Midianites as one man. He says, but as one man, I will deliver you into their hands. Them into your hands, because I am with you. He's like, even though you might see yourself, I'm with you. So knowing I'm with you should bring you comfort to be like, okay, God got me. I can go. You know what I'm saying? I can keep moving forward. And that should bring you comfort, like, as far as being like, okay, if God got me, if God has a plan for me, why am I worried? I can trust in God. So am I going to worry about what I can't control? No. I'm going to ultimately trust in God because my Savior does not fail. And it's like, even now, when this is breaking under, this shows me, okay, it might be reversing, which is cool. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to close this limit. But I know, okay, now this shows me if it breaks this is a strong level. So now what am I looking at? Okay, what's in between here? Do I have any signs of a line where sellers might be? Okay, let me see. Like, look at the chart. See what it's showing you. Let's see. Okay, boom. What do I see at this line? I see buyers are pushing the price up here. Because what happens here? It pushes up. Notice what happened here. It pushed up off this line. Notice this wick. So this is what I'm saying. You can go to the higher time frames and see. Okay, boom. For me, what I like doing is I like looking at the levels. Because the levels ain't gonna lie. They're gonna show you exactly where the market's been. Okay, look. It pushed up from here. It was selling. It bought off here. High level bought off. It was pushing out here. It bought off here. So what I see is right here is a strong level of buyers sitting here. Because what happens? It sells over this line and pushes down, right? It tries to go down, buys up, buys up. Notice it's selling down, buys up. It's selling down, buys up off this line. Notice how every time it bought, it came through this line. Bought off this. And notice, even looking at the market, what is it showing us? How is it feeling? This is that higher low is still showing that buildup. That's still keeping structure. So what I realize is sometimes your entry might not come when you think it will, but it's still on the way. Look, boom, boom, boom. This is further confirmation to me that it's going up. Because look what it's doing on a 4 hour. It's making that higher low because it's still right here. So look, like this is why I be telling people like have faith, bro. Boom, 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 boom. I wouldn't even say really boom, but hey, boom. But even if it was a switch momentum, right? We had to do boom, 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 boom. I had to do that. But either way, where is this? Here, let me mark this. Let's go back to the 4 hour. Let's keep marking up the chart. What do we see here? There is a high amount of buyers sitting here pushing price up. I'll mark this as green so I know. So if there's a high amount of buyers pushing the price up here, when it hits here, what can I expect is it to buy off here? Boom, like that. But what I realize is if it breaks this level, right, because it's such a high buy zone, like I said, even go to drop down. Notice it bought off this line, it came down, ended up buying off this. Okay, what happened? It came down, bought off it, tested it, but then didn't have enough momentum. So what can I tell from this? Is when it breaks this line, like right, as buyers break this line, where can I expect it to go? I can expect that if we're gonna go down here, what can I expect? That it would need to break structure, basically. It would need to break this line, right? But the first level of TP from here, breaking it is, hold on, let me mark it, would be this level. Because what does this show me? Level TP level when breaking this line to the downside. Why do I know this is a sell zone, right? Because one, mind you, all these are off the 4 hour time frame. This isn't me just guessing, but it's just reading what the market showed me. For every time, notice every time it's broke under this. Like, let's look at times there is under. Whereas it went, it formed a low here, it formed a low here. But this is the low we're targeting. Notice this is where sellers are. So once it hits here, we can expect it to sell even more. But once it breaks this line, right? We're gonna say it for the sake of example, right? It breaks this line, right? Where do we know when it breaks this line, right? Ooh, wrong line. When it breaks this, right? Where do we know it went to? This line. Because where is that? There's a low here, and there's also a low here. So this line is a good line for profit. Simple trade as far as just reading the market and seeing what it does. Notice all the lines that we have marked are on the higher time frame. It's not like we mark these lines just randomly. These lines have been hit consistently. Because what happens? When it broke under this line, it went here. Boom. This is like the basic one, right? As far as it broke this line, look, it was going down. It was going down. It was going down. It got to this low. So we see a low right here. where it breaks under that line. But then what happens? It goes up, it tests all the way up here, right? Tests this line multiple times, but where's the low here? So that shows me this is a level where I can target where it goes. Even here, it came up, it broke under it, where they go? Here. So that's 3 times it hit this line. So I know this is a strong level to take profit there. Okay. Now going up, like I said, where do we expect the market to go based on what it's been showing us? I wanna go back to this higher time frame, because the higher time frame does not lie. So we see it had made a low here, came up, came down, came up, is making this higher low right here. Okay, still expect it to break. So once again, notice, boom, 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 boom. Go back to the 1 hour. Notice how it's playing that same type of pattern. So we see 4 hour is bearish right now. I mean bullish. Boom, boom. We only really boom. This is lower volume, that's why it's kind of been choppy. But notice, come here. I'm not even gonna count the low volume. What we're gonna do, this is where the volume stops. So it had volume here, had volume here, then it did all this, let's just say boom, and then it makes this will be the low here, still making a high. This is all low volume. This is where the volume kicked back in right here at 6. So once again, making that low, it's still trying to bounce. Regardless of how you look at it, it's still trying to make that higher high. So what am I looking for it to do? I'm looking for it to still make here, like still make that high. So like I said, we are still overall looking for buys. I'm not looking here, I'm looking still here, because this is where I'm like, if it breaks up here, that's where I want it to go. But once again, this is what I want to show y'all. Notice how even when it's pulling down, it's still respecting this level. This shows me this is a strong stop zone level, stop loss level, because it still has not played it down. Even though it's going bearish right now, it still has not broke that level. Remember, this is the last high volume. I mean, no, hold on. Boom, boom. This was the last high volume candle. So this was the lowest low, right? All this is lower volume. Notice this is 58K, 16, 6, 6, like 5, 3, 3. Now what do we see? Okay, volume starts kicking back in. Okay. Now we're building up more volume. But it still hasn't hit. So like 630, that real, like that's where, like, you gotta think about it. Boom. Still respecting this level. So even though it does a little mini pullback, we not worried about that, because notice, pulls. We waiting for this big move. Notice it still hasn't broke this. For it to switch the trend, it has to break this line. So even though I'm like I said, I'm not going to take a buy when it obviously is downtrending, like that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? But what I realize is, okay, boom, it's still respecting structure overall. Boom, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Even if it makes an equal high or a lower at low, right? Let's say it goes. As long as it's not under this, we can still be like, okay, boom, it can still go. But if we see it pull down here, now I'm more thinking, okay, now we might have a lower high and then be pulling down, because we know buyers are saying here pushing price up. So if this line gets broke, we can take sells for this. Sells from this line to this line. But if it breaks above, we can take buys from here to here, because it's going to be making that new high. So this wick gives me more confidence that it's still going up, because it still has respected this line. That's why our stop loss is there. So yeah, let's get back to reading the word of God, because I think it's so like beautiful to see. And it says, and he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee, and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. So realize that Gideon is worrying and having fear, like, is this from God, or is this not from God? Like, and I feel like that's real. Like, sometimes we think we hear from God, but we don't be knowing. And it's like, it's a hard point to be at, where you don't know if you're hearing from God or you're leaning on your own understanding. And that's something that I used to fear a lot. Like, it's just being like, bro, is this from God or is this me? You know? And I realized that if it's typically from God, you will have something I've learned in my walk with the Lord. If it's from God, He will not change His word. He will not change His, like, voice. As far as, if He tells you to do something, He's not going to change that and be like, oh no, now you should change it up. But also what I realize is that when it's from God, you normally feel fear associated with it. And it's fear of, what if it doesn't work? And that's not from God. But that's where you realize that assignment, whatever God is calling you in, that's probably from Him, because Satan's trying to derail it. It's like, even now, something I just noticed, the EMA is crossed. On the 4 hour, the EMA is crossed. That shows me is when the EMA is crossed, like the what's it called? The 21 crosses the 9 is normally a push to the upside. Notice on the 4 hour, they haven't crossed yet, but this way it's slowly building up. On the 15, they're crossed down because it's pushing down, right? But on the 4 hour, which is about to close in 30 minutes, right? Notice how these are crossed. That shows me, boom. And what is the higher time frame showing me? It's building up, boom, lower high, higher low, higher low. I mean, higher high, higher low, higher high. So that's what I'm waiting for it to do. And I'm gonna put it at this wick, actually. Like, that's why I'm watching the 4 hour, because if the 4 hour holds up bullish, this makes me think, okay, boom, this is definitely about to shoot. I realize 6:30 we should have some more volume kick into the market, but 7, that volume is already gonna be in there, because then it would have played by a good minute. So it's looking. Look at it. Building. Still, look, it's getting closer, but it still has. Okay. And if it's already tested here and now it pulls up here, there's really no reason I should be worrying about it coming down anymore. It's like, even this big move down, right? I'm not thinking this is a sign that it's boom. Look at the wick. That's a further proof to me, like, that the bulls are trying to, I mean, the sellers are trying to push this down. Like, the bears are like, hey, we got to get this price down, because they got too much power right now. But it already showed me, okay, it can't. So I'm not really worried about that, because it's still 29 minutes. So it can fight all that stuff right now. But realize, it's got to hold. It's got to hold. And holding is different than just making a big push. Notice how it's getting ate up right now. Those wicks tell you a lot, because it shows you where the market wanted to go. It tried to go high, and then it tested this low. Now what is it doing? It's getting fought up. It tells me buyers and sellers are fighting. They throwing haymakers. Us. But what happened? Now the sellers getting pieced up. Notice how it keeps going down, but it keeps getting fought right back up. And we already see an indication on the 1 hour that it could break out. So the bulls are already showing us, hey, bro, we getting the gang. Don't even trip. Like, we getting everybody so we can make that push. I'm showing you, like, we can beat them, bro. So right now, that fighting, that don't move me, bro. That don't move me. Notice the wick. The longer wick is at the bottom, where before it was the higher wick up here. So it's like, oh, we're trying to drive it down. But like I said, what's happening at this line? Notice where it drove to. It drove to where more buyers are. Because I already noted this is a buy zone. Buyers here, buyers here. And what do we see? On the 4 hour, there's buyers here. So yeah, it's breaking above it, but it's not closing above it. It's just getting, it's testing this, and now there's buyers. Notice, the sellers are trying. This is the sellers giving everything they got. They're trying to push the price down, but there's buyers here. So what's happening? The buyers are like, nah, I'm not going. I'm not going for it. So for it to keep a downtrend, like I said, I'm not going to take a sell here. What's it called? I'm not taking a sell here because at the end of the day, what is the market still showing me that's on an uptrend? So to me, this is really just a fake out. This is where you get like FOMO traded because you gotta realize before the market makes like its big move, it has to gain liquidity. So newer traders, what are they gonna do? They're gonna see this. Oh, bro, it's going down. It broke this level. This is where buyers were sitting. It must be going down. Jump in right here. Lose all your money. Get stop loss out quick. So this is showing me this might be a liquidity sweep, and then taking all that to the upside. So we're not changing what we're looking at. We we are gonna let the market show. So trade probably will not happen for 27 minutes. So you don't want to watch it. Fair enough. I'm not mad at you, but that's what we know. Excuse me. But continue on. So now we see Gideon ask for God to show him a sign. God, show me like what you want me to do, and I realize like that is so important to realize. We can ask God for signs of direction, and God will show us. Because the same way He showed then is the same way He will show now. I want to talk about 12. Include 12 too here. Let me make a note of that. And once again, I was right. If it breaks under here, where can it go? It can go down here. But notice it's not holding down there. Like, and that's what I realized. Like, bro, like it wouldn't just have to wick down there. It would have to hold down there. So like when it makes that type of move, like where it's early on, like it's still got this much time to close, like 25 minutes. It shows me it's probably not gonna hold down where it's fighting at right now. You gotta realize, like, if it was gonna close down there, why would it be showing there? Realistically, if it was gonna close down there, what we should be seeing, if I'm like there, is I want to see it start testing up here and then showing me more signs that it's heading there. But notice it showed okay, I can break above here. Now it's just pushing out here and doing a lot of wicks. Notice how this what they do and wicked and it came up. Wicks do not mean it's heading that way. Know that. So, but getting back to the word, like I think it's so beautiful to see God's reaction with Gideon. Is it shows God's character. It says, "Depart not hence," right? So I pray that you, so you can bring a present for God. God waits for him. And it says, "And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cake, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and they rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cake. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight." So what we realize is like when the angel departs out of his sight and he tells him to offer the sacrifice, it's showing he's pleased with his sacrifice. And it's like basically saying like God is done. Like what other sign do you need to see? You just asked to give a present to God, right? As far as this angel of the Lord. But ultimately, angels come from God. So when you're talking to this angel, it's like you're talking to God, right? And what I realize is, what does it say? Like, it notes something about the angel. It's like he asked him to present a present. The present, like the angel gives him specific rules of how to handle that, right? So he listens to the angel, and then the angel disappears. It's like, job well done. Like, you leave because you did the job well. And I realize, like, a lot of times we be like, oh, how do I know if this is from God? Bro, pray and ask for a sign. Gideon didn't be like, oh, if I question God, it means I don't have faith. It was like, no, God, I'm questioning you because I'm confused. I want to know. I want to understand what you're telling me here. Is this of you or is this of myself? I want to know. It's not even now. This candle pushing, it could show, okay, we might break structure, but it could also show that this is a big liquidity sweep that could be happening. Because this is breaking structure right here. This is changing the momentum to a downtrend if this continues. But once again, I'm not believing it until I see it close there. So 22 minutes, if it's down there, okay, we're gonna change. We're gonna be like, okay, boom. Let's see how it's playing from there. But I'm not believing it. I believe in this is a liquidity sweep. So then it says in verse 22, and when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Lord, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Lord face to face. And the Lord said unto him, Peace be with thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet in Ophrah the Ezraite. So what we see is that after this interaction, Gideon is fearful because he's like, God, I must have just seen you. Like, surely I'm gonna die, because they had a fear of the Lord as far as they weren't worthy to be in the presence of the Lord. That's kind of how these people felt. So getting visited by an angel of the Lord, that was a big deal. And I realized, like, today we don't have like the same reverence for God. As far as, it's like, bro, I feel like when we hear God talk to us and stuff, are so quick to just take it for granted, bro. But I really like realize, like, Old Testament people cherish hearing from God. They cherish like hearing anything from God. And now it's like, since Jesus died on the cross, he sent us his Holy Spirit, so we have communion with God, like a relationship with him, to be able to talk to him and just commune with him. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that, like, is often overlooked. Like, so many people want to be saved to go to heaven, but it's like, ultimately for me, it's like my dream was always to be able to talk to a God that cared and listened. And I realized, like, bro, the God of the Old Testament is the same there. It's like the way he comforted Gideon, he comforts us today. And I realized, like, with trading, this is why I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to change my life, because I know what I'm looking for. I know, okay, boom. Like, even now, I never enter into the Bible because I'm waiting for the confirmation. But I'm also not fearing, like, oh, this is ultimately telling me, like, the market has shifted. It's like, bro, no, it has to close, because at the end of 19 minutes, a lot can happen in 19 minutes. Since it broke where the buyers are, it shows me right now sellers are in control. So it's like, remember how I was saying, if it broke this level, it could go here. It showed that. But at the same time, all the momentum is still, just looking at the pattern we've seen so far, it had a high, low, high. So we can expect a low and then a high. But I realized this also could show, like, okay, the market's breaking structure because it's telling you it's moving a different way. So if this happens, now we're going to adjust. Okay, if this is on a downtrend, what can we expect? A lower high. So now we can expect from here it to pull back into here and then make a lower low. But it's just letting the market show you, not trying to guess. Like, I think a lot of people go based on their emotions too much in the market instead of just seeing what it does. Like, at the end of the day, if it breaks structure, it's gonna break structure. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just knowing you can't force the trade. That's something you can do. Like, I'm not gonna force it. Like, even now, it's under my stop loss. Like, it's like, boom. That's why we ain't jump in. But it's like, okay, let's see if it holds. Like I said, 18 minutes, a lot can happen, bro. It could just be building up volume, and right now sellers in control, and it's like, okay, boom. But at the same time, if this closes, this could show me, okay, boom. Now we're testing here. So if it breaks here, okay, boom. Now we're shifting. Momentum has definitely switched. But it's like, This is 39K on a 47K. So this is where the volume kicked in. Now we have volume in the market. So I realized all this movement was low volume. This is really the continuation of this. So what I realized is now you count that, boom. Now this is a lower high. Boom, it could still be going up. Just realize something I want you to note is that this is where the volume was the last time it was at like 50 something K. So what I realized is this might be continuing this. So I'm still not tripping about it. Like, because what I realized is the same way this goes down, notice how it's not breaking this level. It's wicking up here. So that shows me, okay, the market might be showing me this is the lowest I can go. And I realize that's a higher low. It's still a higher low because the other low is all the way down here. This is all low volume. All this was low volume. So where was the last time we had high volume movement? Right here. So for me, I realized this is, where did this level end? At this level. So this might be continuing that low and then bouncing off that. So once again, not panicking, just realizing, okay, what is the mark? Why can I see this? Okay, boom. Now we know sellers are here. So if this gets broke, okay, now it's like, okay, boom. What do, like, you know? But once again, the market will never just push straight down. So even though it's going here, it's like, okay, boom. We can expect some type of pullback. So me seeing this, I'm not getting sad and I'm like, dang, my setup's cooked. This I know. If it's switching to this, that means, okay, it made a lower low, right? It made it at lower low, right? What does that show me? Okay, and the market does shift. Okay, so we were going like this. So we know what it's going to do if it makes a higher high, right? But if the market switched and it's boom, 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 what can we expect? A lower high and then it to keep going down that pattern. So no matter what, we're not losing. So it's like now, okay, let's go and assume if this happens, right? Because you see, notice the EMAs on a 4-hour now are starting to cross. So it shows me this might be a real move. But once again, what was this? This was a low volume. This was low volume. In comparison to this is a low volume. This was a high volume. So this is still forming that higher low. So me, I'm still thinking like, okay, if this is continuing this, because this is where volume was in the market, it can still bounce here. Right? But also what it shows me is if it doesn't, right, and it keeps pushing down, boom, 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 I can expect a higher low and then it to keep going. So now what I want to do, so I can look for possible entries, okay, when it breaks this line, where was the lowest it went? Okay, there was a level. Notice it's not like, it's not crazy sophisticated to know like where the market's been. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I never want people to think like it's super complicated to mark where the level. Why am I marking this level? Because when it broke out, it went here, right? So this is a TP level, right? When this level's broken. Yeah, let me make this red too. And notice how it's respected all my levels that I've marked. So this is 4-hour time frame. And I just want you to see like something, bro. This is why we're not rushing it. See how many different entries we have? Okay, so clone this here. Let me clone this. Oh, I didn't mean to copy. Let me clone. Okay. Notice this is another level where it's been low. Right? So what I see is if it breaks this line, we can put our take profit here. This could be a checkpoint, take profit here. This could be a checkpoint, take profit there. The only level in between that we really don't know is once it breaks here, we don't really know where it does. Because it's like there was some buyers pushing here, but now look, we have more confirmation that there is buyers sitting here. Because look, once again, this is why it's so important to mark up your levels on a higher time frame. Because where did it just wick? It wicked here. Notice buyers pushed it here. It pushed here, came in here, it tested up, right? Broke down, right? But look, it pushed here again. So this shows me, even right here, what's happened. The price is getting pushed up. What is making it push up here? Buyers. So this shows me, okay, buyers are here, pushing price up. This is important to note because you want to know, where are my buyers? Where are my sellers? Because these tell you something. So, right, I have all these levels. But notice how the market has played. And I'm just showing what the market has. Because now I have different entries. Okay, what happened? When it broke this level, it went to this level. So, when it breaks, if it goes above this level again, I can know. When it breaks this, it'll go here. Okay? I know this is where buyers are pushing price up. So, if it breaks here, what do I know? That I can take the, what's it called? That if it breaks here, it could go here. You know? Okay. Now, seller's already sitting here. So, this should just carry that momentum down. So, now I could go here. But if it's fighting here, I know why. It's buyers. But if it breaks this level, where can it go? This level. If it breaks this level, where can it go? This level. These are checkpoints. Versus 2. If it, like, this is why I'm still like, we're going to see what the market does. Notice it tested all the way here. It's still fighting up. But realize, this is where it's so important. Notice the volume here. 180K, and then it goes 100K. Here, I'm going to keep it under this one because at the end of the day, we want to have consistent levels. But what I notice, what happens here? This is all of a sudden 22K. So in comparison to 100K, is this any volume? No, this is no volume. Now this is 88K. So it's building up volume here. But notice as it's building volume, more volume, where is it going? It's going up. Notice when it's a liquidity sweep, where is it going to go? It's going to take out a lot of people's stop losses because it's trying to get momentum. So where did the volume end yesterday? It was at 100K here, and what happened? Now this is at 88K. Notice how this is basically finishing this. So we see a high, we see a low. Now it's low, boom, high. You see why I have this entry here. I'm not trying to jump in here where the buyers are pushing it up. I want to see it be a strong level where, okay, it broke this. To get up here, it's been fighting resistance. So this shows me if it breaks above here, this is a strong level. Notice that. But if it doesn't, if it pulls down, okay, now I'm reevaluating. Okay, it's bearish. It's making a new low. Okay, what do we need to see for new low? We need to see it have what? A buy. So what do I need to see? Okay, boom. Now it closes above here. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's really just reading the market. So it's like, that's why I don't be tripping about it. Because at the end of the day, what the market wants to do is going to show you. It's going to show you. So don't trip. I got to use the bathroom. I'll be back. He will never fail. That's why I trust in God. I'm not gonna lie, this is making me excited just seeing it because notice it came all the way down here. It's respected all my levels, bro. And that's why I'm like, truly, this let brings me so much comfort because what I say. Let me just drag it over here so y'all can see. I said there's a high number of buyers here. So if it breaks this, what happens? Okay, I know this is a TP I can take for sales. Boom. Now this one I didn't take because like I said the market's still showing me. But I just noticed what happened. It respected that level and broke it. Now I know there's buyers pushing price up here. So if it breaks this, what do I know? Okay, it can go here. And these are like this is there's no more seller, like this is already seller sitting here, so it can show me it's going. It's nothing stopping it from just shooting down. But here there's buyers, so it has to break this level. This wick is showing me the buyers are still here, but these buyers get taken out, is nothing holding it back. But once again, realize this was the last volume. This is the volume continuing that, so that shows me this might be making a higher low to go. So it's like, bro, the chart might not make sense to you. At the end of the day, the chart makes sense to me. That's what matters, bro. That's what matters. And I realize like that's important, bro. This line gets taken out. Okay, boom. Now is it gonna send me a notification? That's gonna be annoying. I want to see what this bar does. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Will never stand. He will never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Now it shows me instead of sellers, there might be buyers sitting here now. Or the sellers might just not have volume. That's what I'm saying. You gotta see how your levels are reacting. See, I was saying sellers are sitting here, but now sellers are pushing the price up and it's wicking up. That tells me, okay, boom. But look, it finally overcame it. So if there was any buyer resistance, what happened? It got broke. So the buyers here got took out. But like I said, when it's just one candle like this, that's just high volume, it's kind of dangerous just to be like, oh, boom. That's like overall, it's still to me. Like I said, even this was the last high volume, so this is still a higher low. If we're just looking at this, like these are low volume, so I don't really care about low volume moves. I want to see the high volume. This was 100k. This is 100k something. So this shows me, okay, boom. Where was the last 100k? Down. This was 50 something k. Still, these are 22, 18, 18. These are low value volume. This is only 60k total in value. So what it did is, let's say, let's see, this would have been the higher low, right? Let's say high, and then now it's making the lower high or lower low, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, bro, this is why we not taking no trades right now. We just watching what it does. So market's gonna overall show you, bro. It's gonna show you. It will never fail. Notice this is super high volume because this is the 4 hour about to close that is weighing on. So all this has so much momentum because it's on a 4 hour showing. But still, if you only count volume, right, this volume and this volume, that's still a higher low because that was a low down here that had volume. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to come back up here. We don't want that accidentally. Come on. Pull down, high, low volume, low, high. Once again, when it breaks this line, this seller line, okay, where is it? Where can it go? This is level, TP level. What's another level of TP? It's got all the way up here. So what do we see here? It made this low. Now what do we see? Building a high. Notice this was a high volume, but I still want to show. Right. Because I don't know. I don't like counting. Here, let me do this. I think I accidentally moved one of my lines here. Okay, let's say that it did shift. Okay, boom. So it went up. We're still only counting high volume though. Okay, boom. It's making this lower low. This is the lower. What can we expect? Pull up and then keep going down. So now I'm like, okay, boom. Where's the market showing me now? Okay, boom. Pow, pow. Low volume. Whatever, right? I'm not worried about that. Let's just check the line. So it went up, had a big push. Went down here, and then what happened? Came up here, now it's down. So now, just tracking the market, what does it have to do? Keep going. So now, what do you see? It's making a lower low. So if it keeps this downtrend, what level are we looking? Like now, this is where we are to start looking. Okay, is there any between this and this? Is there any zone that there was buys? You could kind of say here, right? I realize still really no like buys necessarily, but notice this level is also a level for buys. You notice it's working. So now what happened? It hit this level, is now getting rejected. This shows me, okay, instead of marking this as a TP level, right? Because we realized it could go here. This shows me buyers are sitting here. So now I know buyers are sitting here, pushing price up. So if we break out here, which we just did here, let me make this red. I ain't gonna lie on my side. So we break out here. Where has it been when it broke out here? It was here, but now we see a gap. We don't even have another low here until we get down here. So this is low-key uncharted territory. Even on the 4-hour look, boom, let's drop down 1 hour. Do we see a level where it's been into this box? But it's still a good amount of gap before you get there. So you really don't know where it's going from here. So that's what we just gotta wait for. We gotta wait for the market to show us levels it can get to from there. But once again, you want to know, okay, boom. Let's say the market did change. So it was on a downtrend, it switched. Let's see. Okay, since it switched, where can we expect it to go? Now it's up. It has this downward move, comes up, makes a higher high. Now it makes a lower low. Where can it go from here? If it's going to continue that downtrend, I can expect it to make a higher low and then continue. Or I can expect it to pull and make a higher high. So now it's just waiting. Okay. I'm not going to try to guess. I'm gonna wait for the market to show me. Because at the end of the day, I don't know, because this is uncharted territory. So it's just waiting. This is a market broke structure. It was going up and it broke structure with this. So now we have to wait for some more structure to be built. Because now I'm like, okay, let's say it's on a downtrend. Boom, 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 boom. To create a pattern, and we'll have to make a higher low and then a lower low. So we see that we don't really know where it's going to do. This isn't, even though it's red, this isn't a lower level. This is actually a higher level that it was at. The lower level would be all the way down here. So it's respecting this buyer line. Notice how it's getting pushed up. So we don't really know what the market is doing right now, as far as it broke the trend that was on previously, and now we just have to let it build. But the fact that it's wicked there, alright, be building up to make higher highs, higher low, boom, 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 and going from there. But until we see that, we don't really have nothing to work off. So let's focus on God's word. At the end of the day, we don't really know. But I know if it breaks this line, where can it go? To where the buyer's been. So that's why I have so many levels marked, because I want to see, okay, what happened. I know when it gets down here, these are levels it's been. I know where it gets up here, these are levels it's been. In here, I don't have too many levels marked. So it's just looking for entries. Okay, boom. When it's broke this line, as far as the sellers are saying here, where has it went? Well, it broke it, went all the way up here. Okay, see, it broke it here. Where did it go? Okay, it broke it. Where did it go? It went here. It broke it. There was another high. Like, these are highs you want to target. So it's above this. Where did it go? It broke above this line, went here. So this shows me, okay, this could be a TP low. You want to have levels marked, so when you're actually in the trade, you're not trying to guess. I know this might look like a lot of lines, but this makes complete sense to me, because I know, okay, if it breaks, if it's sellers sitting here and it breaks up above this, what does that mean? That buyers knocked out these sellers, so it's pushing up. So when it pushes up, where does that have potential to go? It goes up to here. Okay, when it breaks this level, right, buyers are sitting here, now it's selling. But look, I don't have no sell zone to look to. Like, actually, I could have been here. Yeah, I'll actually mark that for like future reference. I didn't see this actually. This is the lowest point it's went, built up, and it came here. So this is where it's TP for sales. As I realized, like, the market is not random. Like I said, again, it follows the same trends. Notice how all these lines, what we say here, okay, sellers here. If it breaks here, where did it go? It would have hit that TP. Okay, is buyers pushing the price up here? Breaks here, where can it go? Here. Notice it's respecting all our levels. So once you start like marking your levels on these higher time frames, you can trust them. And I realize like the market once again does not just randomly move. It literally holds up these higher time frames. Buyers are pushing price up here. So 4 hour. Because all these times where we're marking these, we are marking them on the higher time frame. You gotta trust the higher time frames. I said we're waiting for structure to appear in the market. So I said right now it's not really. You see, it was consolidating and then it continued this downtrend. So now we're just looking at pure volume, right? We see up, comes up to here, pulls down all the way to here. Now we can see higher lows into continuing down, or we could see, boom, like so. It's really now just waiting. So until 8, I'm gonna just kind of watch what it does, because it's really no like evidence of what it's gonna do right now, because it's kind of moving just however. But once it broke structure, we realized, okay, it's not on an uptrend necessarily no more, because it broke structure. It was consolidating here, volume kicked in, it shot down. But what happens if we're looking to here, we see, okay, this low is still respecting this lower value here, so it's still technically a higher low. So I can see it making a push up. So what I would need to see for me to be like, okay, boom, a good entry is, I see it break above here. I'm like, okay, boom. Now that it's pushing up, I can know sellers are sitting here. If it breaks this level, I could be like, okay, I'm gonna put my take profit at this line, right? And I can ride it to this TP level. Boom. So it's just knowing what you can and can't do, bro. Okay. I don't know where it's going right now. Let's just see how it plays between my levels. But it's marking for when it happens. Because these levels I'm not just getting, I'm just pulling these levels out my like head. Just, oh, I think it's gonna go here. Is where has it been? When it was here, where did it go? And I think it's a recipe for success to mark all these different levels, because when your price shows these levels, now you know, okay, how it's interacting. And what I want you to see too is like zoom out, like you reset, right? Notice, okay, I said sellers are sitting here. What was it? Selling off, selling off. It broke here. What happened? It went on an uptrend. It went from here all the way here. So my TP would have got hit. Boom. Okay, let's see. What do we see? There's a high amount of buyers here. So it broke under here. Where did it go? It went all the way down. Like when it breaks these lines, it's breaking them. Like the market is very like locked into moving how it moves. Like we'll never sell. You would never fail. I trust in God, my Savior, the one who will never fail. He will never fail. Mind you, it's been on a downtrend, right? Still, like, this is something I want to note. Notice how it was consolidating this whole period between these lines. Boom, boom, boom. Not really going. Then it broke. Because there was buyers sitting here pushing it up. So once it broke here, it went here all the way. Because this is where the volume kicked in. So I realized, like, now, okay, boom. Now, what can I expect? Consolidation again before it makes another move. But realize the market does not just continue going down the downtrend. So now we done see it make the move. Okay, where does the market gonna show you from now on? Well, if it keeps pushing down, what is it gonna do? Meet some level where there has to be buyers. It broke through this level, so it's like, okay, boom. Where can we go from here? Oh, we gotta see. All right. So that's why I'm just kind of watching on the 15, seeing where it goes. Now we got our different levels marked. But notice, we said sellers are pushing price here. So this was the first level, hit that. Second level, hit that. Because it broke through the buyers. So as soon as it broke through the buyers, this was our first level of TP. Would have got hit. This is our second level of TP. So it's like the levels are holding up. That's why you can't get mad. Like, sellers were here. So when it was already pushing down from here. But now what do we see? It wicks up here. So this shows me, okay, there has to be some type of buyers here. Because otherwise it wouldn't be wicking here. So that's just something to know. The buyers got took out here, but then there's buyers here pushing the price up too. But am I going to change this to a buyer sitting here? No, it's like just recognize that. Okay, this TP, this ended up being where buyers are sitting at. So now we just win. So what I can expect this is to make a higher low. Because ultimately the higher time frames are showing us what the market is doing, but these lower time frames are gonna show us like more live, like what's going on. Notice it pushes up, boom, pushes down. Okay, boom. But once again, this is like uncharted territory, so we're not trying to trade this. We got our buys though. They got bro. So when these levels get taken out, you don't need to keep them low key. Like, okay, boom, what happened? The buyers got took out here, so what happened? They got chopped. Okay, sellers pushing the price. Well, obviously they kept selling here. Okay, we see that TP was accurate, so we could have been like, boom, okay, cool. TP was accurate. This TP. Now we see buyers were here. Let's see if they're still here. Are they still pushing price up? No. So what am I going to do? I'm going to drag this here because I see now this is where buyers are sitting. I'm going to delete this take profit. Oh, hold on, wrong line. I'm going to delete this take profit because I missed that. Now we see there's buyers here. Trying to clear my notifications. So now we see buyers sitting at this level. We see sellers pushing in here. So now, like, we want to see, okay, when it's pushed up, like if it breaks down here, this is like the only level we can kind of see that it went into. So we're not going to do that. But when it breaks above, let's see, is there any level where it's like, okay, this is a strong level of where I could be like, okay, buyers push it up here, it's going here. Not really. We don't really see that too much. You can see maybe here, but once again, let the market show you. So right now we don't really have a zone between here anymore because it's broke through all of them for sales. So now when we see this wick, it's just because the market structure is trying to keep going. So now it's like, okay, we broke through, we made our high. Even if you just follow this, right? Well, but to me, I don't really care to even track these because I know these were low volume. So what I know is it made a high, it made a low. We get expected to make a high again. And that's just calling a spade, you feel me? So when I jump in here, I'm like, okay, boom. What did I see? I went from here to here, so it still has potential to go. Drop down to 15. What is it doing? All that, like, to zoom out. What did it do? It did all this pushing up, right? To get to here, consolidate, doesn't really make a move. Like, a volume kicks in and shoots down. What is it still doing? It's trying to, like, even here, what do we finally start seeing? It building up. But notice, this was the lowest point. This is a low. So for it to continue, right, it would have to build up a little bit and then continue. Notice how we have not forced any trades because we're letting the market show us where it wants to go. Oh, back to the word. Okay, so we see now he offers a sacrifice to God, and then it comes at verse 25. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw it on the altar of Baal that thy father hath, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Lord thy God upon the top of this, in the order place. Take the second bull and offer a burnt offering, burnt sacrifices with the wood of the grove, which is thou shalt cut down. Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants, and did as the Lord had said unto him. And so it was, because he feared his father's household, and admitted to say that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. So he was afraid, so he was like, okay, I'm going to do it at night. But look, even though he had fear, he still did what God had called him to do. I realized fear is not a chance to not do what God's calling you to do. It's a chance to be like, okay, well, I'm scared, but at the end of the day, if this is something God's calling me to do, I gotta step out. And then It says, and when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said to one another, who have done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon the son of Joshua had done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joshua, bring thou out thy son. He has cast down the altar about, and because he has cut down the grove and was by it. And Josiah said unto all that stood against him, will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that plead with him, let him be put to death whilst it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cast down his altar. Therefore on that day he shall be called Jerubbaal, saying, let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar. Realize, like, if this God was real, why would he not stand for himself? Why would he not show like a sign that he was real, at that point? Now I realize like that is once again like I think it's so insightful to just realize like, bro, when God shows you a sign like, okay, boom, this, like, as far as it's like, okay, realize that if I am who I say I am, which we know God is who he says he is, he will show you like time and time again what he can do, his characteristics. And I realize like that God, we see him retaliate when people go and do things that go against him, right? So that's his nature to like respond to that, right? But I realize like a lot of people don't realize like that's not only God's nature to do that, but anybody that opposed, like their natural nature is to rebel. So when these altars are broke down and nothing happens, it should let you know that there's nothing truly like established there, because there would have been some resistance. I think that's kind of important to know. Just like noticing that. Yeah. See, we didn't really see a level where you could have like boom. Oh, when it broke here, it went here. We see it break under this, but we don't see it put in between here. So it's not forcing the trade here. It's waiting for it to, okay, break into here. Now where can it go from here? Realize this is high volume now. 73K. 5K. How much was this? 99K. Like, this is still 70K. So we're waiting for more volume to kick in. So that's why we're watching the 15 to see what is the market actually doing during that, because you can't see everything that's going on. Okay, it's making a higher high. Okay, boom. It's moments where buyers are kind of trying to push it down, but it's still getting shot down. So this shows me like it has to truly build up to beat this right now. Now, if the structure changed, what do we see? Higher high. A low, right? But notice how there's a lower low. So this shows me like this is why I'm not convinced that it's fully on the downtrend. Like, I think it's definitely going down here to show you like, hey, this is how far we can push. But realize these lower highs, when it builds back up, is like further confirmation. Okay, we're going. Because there's a high number of sellers here. So we break this line, we know, okay, now since we've seen how much momentum is it pushing down, if it breaks this line, we know, okay, I can take it here. But if it keeps pushing out, it's like it breaks this line and we can get in this box. Now we can consolidate, which we see here. But once it breaks out, what can we go? We can go, okay, it breaks out, we can ride it here. Because it's been here multiple occasions. So letting the market show. Now that it's wicking out here, it shows me, okay, now it might be beginning an uptrend. But realize, when we're looking at this, what do we see? Like, I want to emphasize, like, the market structure does not change of these high volume, like, time frames, bro. It doesn't. Like, it holds true. So what I see is, it was a low. Alright, let's just say, it was low here. Boom, pushed up. Higher high. Then it has this. We're not even going to view this. This is where it went, right? It was down. This is low volume, but it pushed down. Boom. Now what we can expect is, okay, if it's going to continue on the uptrend, it's making this strong push down. Now it's going to make a strong push to the upside. Once we see it break here, we realize, boom. But even if it's going to continue on the downtrend, what we can know is that regardless, it has to break here and go to a certain level. Now our TP is here, but even if it breaks here, we jump in here because this is where sellers are. It pushes above here. What we can know is, okay, I can make profit here. And it's like, this is where I'm going to trail. Like, as soon as I'm in profit, I'm going to trail my stop loss to secure profit. Because no matter what, even if it's continuing a downtrend, it has to play this line. But if it's continuing to uptrend, right? So if it was to continue the downtrend, it's going to keep making higher lows. I mean, lower highs. But regardless, it's not going to keep going all the way down. So we see a strong push to the downside. Now we could either see a higher high as far as, let's say it breaks this line, it keeps going up. Now we could be like, okay, boom, first TP level. It hits this, okay, boom, keeps going up. There's already buyers here, so it pushes up here. We know, okay, boom, it could keep going. But this is going to be our next entry as far as we take here, secure profits. Let's say we get stop lost out. It's like, okay, boom. I'm waiting for the next level. I'm big, like, regardless it breaks here, I'm jumping in for a buy and right into this. Let's say now it makes another pull. Now it shows me, okay, this is probably in a downtrend since it's pulling back now. Okay, but if it doesn't, what can I expect? Okay, it breaks this level where there's clear sellers. So we know it's buyers here, so this is where it should be pushing up. It breaks this level, we can go here, and so on. It's a new uncharted. But at the same time, as if regardless, like it's built, hit this low. We see it keep building up. So I can expect it's going to test this. So even if we're going down, realize that the market can't just do something random. You know? Because if you look at this, it kind of looks crazy. You're like, dang, why did it just do that? Like, what happened here? But what I realized is this is why you got to go to higher time frames to make it make some more sense. Go to 4 hour. What do we see? Oh, I got to stop doing that. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. It makes a strong move to the downside. Breaks up. Makes a strong move to the downside again because this is low volume, so we're not worried about that. But even if you were to track this, right, let's say we see makes a strong move to the downside, comes up, right, boom, 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 boom. Either way, we see a bearish move. So to continue this, it would be boom, boom, right? So we can expect it to still break this line to make a lower high. You know, if it comes all the way up here. Maybe it comes here. Regardless, it needs to make a lower high. And this is what I'm saying. Since buyers are pushing price up here, we can be like, okay, boom. If it stays above, okay, this is strong. This is a strong support line. So do we see any levels, right? We need to see a higher high. If it breaks this, right? Now, like if it comes up, once we see that higher low, right? I mean that higher high. I mean lower high. Boom, come, right, boom. Even if you count here, has to make this high. But it breaks this level again, we can know we can take this to this line. Because where has it been when it broke? It at least came to this line. And we see there's no level where it's like really like wicking crazy. Like even this is from the buyers is pushing, the buyers still sitting here pushing the price up. So I realize like if it breaks this line, it can at least go here. You know what I'm saying? And I realize it could go here, but the chances are it's going to try and get to this little box. Because if it makes a higher low, it's trying to make a lower low. Breaks this, okay, boom. Then the last low was up here, so maybe. Then it pulls back a little bit, comes back. Then we have all these levels to play. So it's like, bro, this is what I'm saying. Like, patience is always going to be better than just forcing trades. Because at the end of the day, the more the market plays, the more it's going to show you the patterns. But dropping down to the 4 hour, because that's what's moving the most. What do we see? It pushed up. It came down. All this low volume kind of consolidation, so we're not even going to worry about that. What happened? It made this low. So, hold on. We're going to ignore this for the sake of volume. Just looking at pure volume. It pushed up. It made this low. It made this volume. Okay, it came all the way down here. Even if it's going to switch to a downtrend, we can expect here. But what I realize is like, okay, If it's going to continue uptrend, what's going to happen? Boom, higher highs, higher low, boom. Right? That's if it's going to go on an uptrend. If it's going to continue on this downtrend, what do we need to see? Comes up, boom, boom. If it's on a downtrend, a higher low. So realize, where's our last lower high, right? Our last high is up here. So it has to at least get like here, or it could go here. You know what I'm saying? If it like still is a lower high, it's looking to make a lower high, so we can expect it to make a lower high somewhere in here. But I know there's sellers here, so if the price pushes up here, I'm like, okay, boom, I can know it's trying to go up here. But realize, okay, from here we're trying to make a higher low. So if I don't see even touch here, I'm like, okay, it makes a higher low here. Now I know, okay, buyers are sitting here. If it shatters this, where does that mean? It's going from here to at least into this box, because we see that low on a 1 hour. So this is where you can kind of use your levels. I see this line got hit on the 1 hour when it broke out of here. So I realized, okay, it broke out of here, it came. So when it breaks this line, sold under, it went to this box. So that's where it's, if it breaks this again, like it makes the higher low and breaks this, I can take it here. But at the same time, realize, like, bro, the market overall is going to show you what to do. That's why I like looking at these higher time frames to see. Because when you drop down, it doesn't really make as much sense. But when you look like here, okay, boom, boom, okay, it's showing me, boom. So what I see right now is if it holds under, it's like, okay, boom, I'm trying to go down here. We're not going to force an entry and be like, boom. Because the same way it's going down right now, we know it never just, the market never will just go here. It has to have some type of higher low before it continues down. So let's just wait on that. Like, even on the higher time frame, what happens? Like, we need to see some type of move. It has to be a higher low somewhere here for it to continue this. But realize, to me, since this low was never taken out, this shows me it could still be bearish. I mean, it could still be bullish. Because even if it, because realize the 4 hour time frame is going to show you what the market is doing overall. It's like if we go to daily, I bet you that's even more accurate as far as what do we see here. What happened? It made an uptrend. It came all the way up to here at a point, right? Then it pulled down. It's making that low. So off that, we can see generally what is it looking to do? Pull. Make a new high still. 4 hour. What is it showing? Pulled down, came up. Like I said, low volume, so we're not even going to acknowledge that. Come here. Now it's still looking. 1 hour. Like I said, notice this is all consolidation. We don't care about consolidation. This is just a level. Like, this is where we don't want to trade. Right here is a level where we don't want to really trade in this moment. Like, as far as these, what is it doing? Chopping. Chop City right here. Right? So, once again, went on an uptrend. Pull back down. Higher. Even higher low. Boom. Boom. Because you gotta realize, like, the market maintains structure. That's why I just like see it. Alright, what is the market showing me? Notice we see a doji. Consolidation move. So like I said, during this period, we're not trying to just be like, oh, it's going here. We know, okay, boom. It's still yet to make a higher low. So for me, I'm like, I don't know where the market's going right now. So I'm not going to try to guess. I'm going to let the market show me. Because I realize, bro, it's so much time in the day. It's 7 o'clock, bro. Moves happen at 8, they happen at 10, they happen all this time. Like, it's still most of the day to go. But if I was trying to assume and be like, okay, I'm going to assume it's going to keep going down, and now it reverses on me, I just lost money because I wasn't patient. Versus just patient and just letting it show you. So back to the scripture, as far as what do we see in the scripture happen? We see God meets Gideon as he has caused him a men of valor, sends him to war. Now Gideon's fearful, but he still does what God calls him to do. And now this where I feel like I said, let's not even focus on the chart. Let's just read the word because the word is so like good. So what it says is, so now his dad is like, hey bro, if Baal was real, he would have stood up for himself. Why didn't he stand up if he's real? Basically supporting his son. Like, if he was real, like, he doesn't offer up his son. He's like, yo, if he was real, you would think he would stand for something, bro, instead of just getting pushed around. That's basically what he said right there. Like, I think that is very true. Like, if this so-called God was real, right? This Baal God was real. Why wouldn't he do nothing when his altars are getting torn down? But he doesn't because he's not real. And then it continues at verse 33. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together. So now they gather a big nation to go against these people, the Israelite people. It says, went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. So we see that when the Spirit of the Lord calls upon him, he has the ability to walk in the will of God and walk with confidence. And I realize that Spirit of the Lord is the Holy Spirit. So we see the Holy Spirit empowers. I realize, like, reading Judges even later, like, you know, because I've read this, when it talks about Samson, it talks about like the Spirit coming upon him, and now he's stronger because the Lord is giving him the strength. And I realized like that example is perfect, like here, as far as it says, but the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also were gathered after him, and he sent messengers onto Asher, onto Zebulun, onto Naphtali, and they came up to meet with him. So now he's like, okay, they want to gather their nation, it's time for us to gather ours. Let's get ready. Like, let's get ready to go to war. You know what I'm saying? So we see that Gideon goes from being afraid to now he has this confidence to be like, alright, it's time. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And where did that confidence come? It says the Spirit of the Lord. Like, I want to make sure I'm reading it. It says, but the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon. So Gideon was powered by the Lord, and that's why he had the confidence to now enter into war. And you remember, God called him before a man of valor. So God seen his potential before he seen his potential. He didn't see himself as a man of valor, but God knew when that spirit, God gave him that spirit, he was going to be a man of valor because God was with him. And God told him that, like, I'll be with you. This is God coming and being with him. So now we see the Holy Spirit even showing up then. So that same God that lives inside you empowered Gideon to move here. So it's like you gotta realize, like, he strengthens you. Like, believe that. Okay? And then it says, what does it say? And Gideon said unto God, if thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry on the earth, because side, then I shall know that thou wilt save Israel by my hand, as thou hast said. So now he's asking God for another sign. Okay, God, I know you're with me. I know you're speaking to me, but show that you are going to give these people into my hand, so I can have confidence moving with that faith. Like, God is with me. God is supporting me on this journey, so I can step out in faith. And what do we see, God? Does God say, oh, why do you want me to show you this sign? Do you not trust me? Does he question that? No, because God isn't afraid of our worries, our doubts, our anxiety. What does God say? And it was so, for he rose up early in the morrow and thrust the fleece together, and it wrinkled the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. So now we see that God has showed him, I'm with you. You made a very specific request of how you wanted me to show up to show you what move to make. And God showed him that. So what that should bring us comfort is realizing when God says something, he will bring you comfort and show you that he's with you. So ask for, if you need a sign to take action, ask for that sign. But when God gives you that sign, step out in action. Because what do we see again? And Gideon said unto God, let not thy anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let it be dew. And God did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on the ground. So God showed him another sign. So once again, this shows me God, like so many people are so afraid to go to God and ask him for signs of what direction he wants you to do. Like, God, help me with this, help me with that. You surrendered all these things to God, but then when God, you ask God for a sign, but you, like I said, a lot of people ask God for signs, but they don't ask, they're not specific with signs. For me, I was asking God for a sign with trading. I was like, okay, Lord, if you want me to get this car, if you want me to get this, allow me to have this type of success. I didn't get that success, but I realized, like, I was like, God, if you want me to keep going, show me that. He showed me that. And I realized, like, bro, if you ask God for a sign, he will meet you where you're at and show you that sign if that's what you need to step out and do his will. Because ultimately, God wants you to do your will, his will. If you're going to him with a humble posture, like, God, show me so I can walk in confidence knowing this is from you and not from myself, or not from just me leaning on my own understanding. God, why would God not want to show you that? And a lot of people are so afraid to ask God for signs because they think it's a lack of faith. It's a lack of faith to assume God isn't speaking and just be like, oh, I'm not going to act. Bro, and it takes no faith for that. But it takes faith to believe, okay, if I'm crying out to God, God's going to hear my prayers and he's going to answer. He's going to show up. He's going to show me and reveal what he's trying to show. Like, he's not going, like, God is not afraid of that. And I realize, like, so much of our life we're taught, like, God is afraid of showing us signs and wonders. Oh, you're not walking by faith if you're asking God for all these signs. Now, if God shows you a sign, should you keep asking, oh, God, can you keep showing me these signs, like, over and over? No, you shouldn't. You should step out. But what we see is, even now, we see two occurrences. We're back to back. He's like, can you show me a sign? God answers the sign. Can you show me one more sign? He answers the sign. But once he says that, after his second sign, where does it go now? Then Jeroboam, who was Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the Herod. So it's like, once he got that second confirmation from God, okay, I'm moving. He didn't hesitate anymore and be like, oh, God, I need another sign. Like, a lot of us get to this paralysis where we're so scared to move. We're like, God, I don't know if this is from you, so I'm not going to move. Not moving is literally hindering your progress, because now you're not moving at all. Now you're not taking any steps to see where God is truly calling you into. And I realize, like, that fear, bro, that fear hinders you from walking in what God is calling you to do. So it's like, bro, you got to step out of that. You can't be comfortable just being, like, stagnant. You got to be like, okay, God, I trust you. And since I trust you, I know, okay, boom. Like, and that's what I realized, like, bro, with anything in life, you're going to have to step out in faith eventually. So it's like, why not step out in faith and show God you trust him by just saying, God, hey, I give it to you. I surrender the outcome to you. So like, earlier I was looking to take buys. None of my buys got hit, you know what I'm saying? My buy level didn't get hit. So did I force it? No. I was like, if it breaks above here, though, I know. Boom. So I want to know when it breaks above here. Okay, this is buy potential. I'm gonna say buy potential because you obviously want to kind of gauge the market. If it breaks under here, what do we know? Sell potential. But I don't have a level where it's been. So for me, this is like the indication it can break here. So just because it breaks one doesn't mean like, oh, it's such a stable level. But I know there was sellers here because what is happening? It's selling off this line. It's selling off this line. When it builds above, so when I know when it breaks above this, okay, this is strong buyers making a move. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, this is where I get target when it breaks here. So I have when it's going on an uptrend. But if it breaks here, I know, okay, boom, it's going here. But I realize we are still yet to see that higher low. So what I want to see is, I want to see this close, and now I want to see a push to the upside, right? Because it's got to make that higher low before it can continue going down. Like, even if we're on a downtrend, we have to hit here, right? It has to come somewhere up here, right? Here, let me do this so it makes sense to everyone. What I realize is what we see is volume kicked in. Now we made that low. It was at this high. It made this low. Yeah, I want to draw. Something I've learned is the higher time frames don't lie. So once again, just reading what the higher time frames did, counting all the candles. Let's just do all the candles. To me, these are still low volume, so I'm not really counting them. But regardless, what we see: low, high. It builds another low, high. So now we see a lower low. So now what we need to see on the downtrend is a lower high, because it pushes up, right? And then we need to see a lower low and continue that all the way down. So that's what one way it could push. But at the same time, it could be like, okay, I had this high low, right? Boom. Now I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna go, right? So let's say I make that higher low, right? It pushes up here. Now it makes a lower high. I mean a higher low. Then it goes like that. But realize the market is not just going to continue one way. A lot of people want to jump in on this so bad. Like they want to be like, oh, I got to jump in on this trend. This is where volume just initially kicked in. Realize now we're seeing this is consistent volume. 50, 40, 47, 37, 25. You know, but look. Now we're building up volume here. And what is it doing? It's getting to this level and it's buying up. So that's the thing. That's why this is wicking up. Because it's pushing up. The buyers are building momentum. So like I see, it's building. But it has to make a higher high. Realize. I mean a lower high. Even if it's going to continue on the downtrend. So whether it makes a higher high or it makes a lower high is going to show us. So that's already going to be something to show. If it breaks this line, we're going to take a buy to this. If it doesn't break this line, we're going to be like, okay, it's definitely making a higher low. It's trying to come down here. Now we know when it breaks out here, it can go here. So what we could at least do is target, okay, boom. Here, I mean, that's a long position, a short position. Is be like, okay, when it breaks out of here, right, let's say it made whatever it was like down here, you'd be like, okay, boom. You can at least write it here. Boom. Because you see, where did it go? It went here. And our entry would probably be like breaking right here. Right? And then we could write it there. Really, I would target this box. Just because it's like, I know it's at least going to enter into this box because this is where it's been on the 4 hour. I mean the 1 hour. But take profit once it hits here. Boom. So it's like no matter what, we either are going to get a move here or we're going to get a move here. We're not worried about all the way up here right now. If it goes here, we're looking to take our profit here. If it breaks out of this, we're looking for it to go down here because there's no sign of like correction here. We just see it break here. So what I'm looking for, okay, boom. I need it to break out of here to go down to here. I need it to break out of here to go here. So we're just letting the market show us where it wants to go. Higher lows or higher highs. You know what I'm saying? Higher low still has to go up. Lower low, it still has to go up to make that lower high before it can go down. Realize these are like fundamental principles of the market that it physically can't break these. So now, what do we see in verse 33? They gathered all these nations, 33 through 35. He gathers his army. Now it says, now he was asking for the sign of God. Now in 7, we see he starts weeding down the army. And I want to finish with chapter 7 because I feel like it's so much to speak on about chapter 7. I really want to get to that. Okay, it says, then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon. So we read that, right? So now he's talking to him, right? So it says, so the host of Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Morah in the valley. And the Lord said unto Gideon, the people that are with thee are too many for me to get the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, my own hand have delivered me. So God is saying, hey, since there's so many people here right now, they can say it was because of the people we had around us that we won.
But God didn't want them to think it was them. He wanted them to realize and acknowledge it is me giving them into your hands that you have victory. Without me, you would not have victory. So they realize they need the Lord and not themselves. So sometimes God will give us adversities and trials that we can't overcome by ourselves. So we lean on Him. It's not to say you can't get through it. It's you can't get through it alone. You need the Lord. So realize that Holy Spirit inside you, He's going to empower you. So lean into Him and trust Him through it. Realize, okay, God is going to give me the strength to get through this. I'm going to trust in Him. I'm going to trust in Him. You have to tell your soul that. Sometimes your soul is not going to want to trust God. Sometimes your soul isn't going to want to believe God. But you got to take Him at His word. Okay, God says He's going to help me. God's going to help me. Okay, boom. So now, what is He saying? Now therefore go to proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart from Mount Gilead. And there returned to the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. So now he already knocked out 2,000 people because he's like, I want them to know this was me that gave them into your hands. It wasn't yourself. It wasn't anything you could do. It was me alone. So that's God's perspective on this. So what does this show me? When God exalts you, He wants you to realize it wasn't you. Yeah, you might have put in the work. Yeah, you might have grinded. But at the same time, realize that without God, you couldn't have that success. So yeah, when God exalts you, because God will exalt you. I realize this platform is God exalting me and giving me a platform to talk about it. But it's also remembering God's the reason why I'm here. God's the reason why I'm training. That's why this is trading with Jesus. Because old me would have tried to jump in and just try to chase this money, but I realized I don't need to jump in right now because the market is showing me. I didn't when I broke here, I was like, okay, it could go here. I knew that, but at the same time, what I was looking for is the market. This is where the first volume kicked in. I didn't know exactly where the market was going. So now I see, okay, boom. But what I know for certain now is that when the market's on a downtrend, it has to make a higher low before it can continue to that lower low. It's not just going to keep shooting out. But I know too that on this 4 hour, what it's showing me is that this is still looking like a higher low. So it could still be bullish. So I'm looking, okay, 3 hours for that. So that means 3 of these candles before. So what I realize is that 4 hour right now is showing me, okay, what it's showing me is it pulled down, boom. It goes up. It comes down. It goes up, boom, comes down right here. That it's still, if it's going to go to a downtrend, it needs to make a higher low and then come. Right? But also, if it's going to continue up, what is it going to do? It's going to make a higher low. It made this low. It made this higher. Boom. Boom. I really don't like counting this because this literally is just no volume in this. So I'm going to do this for the sake of my sake. Higher low. This shows me bro, this is still a higher low than that down here. So that it could be continuing right here. Boom. 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 Right? So when I'm looking at the 1 hour, I'm like, okay, what is the 1 hour showing me? The 1 hour is showing me, okay, I came down. I come up, right? Not even going to worry about this because like I said, look, it's low volume here. So we're not even going to try and check this. Overall, it pulled down all the way down here, right? Made this low. It had a little, but it was really no push against it. It was straight up, right? Then we finally see, what is this? This is high volume, 27K, right? Where it pushes down. Okay, this was a volume where it made a move down. So now we see a higher low, right? Higher low because it's higher than that. Now we see a lot of this consolidation because I realized there was no volume. So what I realized is that it really didn't do that. All it really did was show me this. Boom, with volume. It shot up, it came down. This is really continuing this because look, it was down, and what happens? This is all low volume. It's consolidating, kind of trying to test up, but it's not really breaking nothing, and then it shoots down when volume kicked in. So with volume, it went from this high to this low. So what I realized is if it's continuing uptrend, what would it do? Now it would make a higher high and then make a higher low, and then so and so, continuing on, you know what I'm saying? But if we think if it's going to make a move to the downside, regardless, what does that have to do? Come to this high, come down here. It has to make a higher high and then come down more. So realize no matter what, the market cannot just keep going straight down. Like a lot of people think it will just keep going straight down. No. If anything, if you were gonna get in, this is where you had to get in. If you were gonna ride the downside. Now you have to wait for, okay, boom, it went down, it broke these levels. Okay, is it gonna come test this level? So now when you drop the 15, look how it's building up. Look, the 15 is showing it's building up. This is why we're seeing a wick. So what we see is it's trying to build this higher high. I mean this higher low. So even on the 15, what we see is a higher low. But realize, for this correction, right, for this to be a valid, it has to show up on here. Like the 4 hour is not going to show for another 3 hours before another candle forms. But the 1 hour, it's got to show up. It can't just be this, boom, come down here, and then just keep shooting down. It's not going to do that. That's why it's wicking there. It's showing you it wants to come make this higher low and then push down. Even if it's on a continuing a downtrend, that's what it needs to do. If it's continuing an uptrend, what can we see? It can make this higher low right here. Then it can make a higher high. It has to break up here to continue an uptrend. So that's what we need to see for an uptrend. But like I said, right now, it's definitely showing like, okay, this might be a bearish day. So what I'm expecting is at least a higher high. I mean a higher low. I mean a lower high. So I need it to come like right here and then shoot. Notice the EMA is crossed on the 1 hour. This shows me it's technically bullish. But even on bullish, it has to come up a little bit. So it's going to try to come here or even maybe here before shooting down. So what we need to see now is that. So once we see this, we could be like, okay, boom, it breaks this level. Where is it going from here? Like, so now it already showed us it breaks out. So what I'm looking for is the price to correct, and then I'm looking to take here. Now I'm long, so I'm looking to take sells once it gets to this line because it shows me once it breaks under this line, it could go to this because what is it 1 hour right here? So that's the level I would target. So it's really just reading and not trying to assume like you know everything because I'm gonna be honest, bro, I don't know everything. But I know that the market's not random. That's what I do know. I know the market has to respect structure. Even like right here, you could think it broke structure, but realistically, it really didn't because it's all low volume. So this is just it moving because the market's still gonna move, but it's not really making any big move. It was consolidating between this seller's level right here and this buyer's level. Really, that's what it was doing. It broke up above and then it consolidated right here. And then it finally broke under here where there was a high number of buyers. And this is what I'm saying. This is where I could have wrote it down here. But I was so focused on the buys, I wasn't really looking like boom. But I noticed there was different levels to take it. But since I missed that move, it's not trying to be like, dang, I missed it. It's like, nah, okay. Since it made this move, what does it have to do to respect market structure? It's to come up and then it has to go. So what we see, boom, it came up, came down. Now we need to see it come up more and then come down. Boom. Okay. So now what I want to watch is a 15. I want to see, okay, are we going to push up to continue this or are we going to break down? Because if it breaks this level again, we can tell now, okay, that was it. That was it trying to build that. But realize the correction still has not showed up on here. So this shows me, okay, it still might be making that bullish movement. I mean, that bearish move. So once again, our next level is bringing in here. This is where we want to go. So we just watching it. Just watch it on the 15. So that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'll be staying in tune to watch. Because like I said, this is an important level. I want to see, can this break this? So now I'm looking for sells. And I'm going to put this as a TP level. Once again, when they broke this line, where'd it go? It sold all the way down here. So this is a safe line to be like, okay, boom, it's at least going to sell here when it breaks this line. So hopefully that helps y'all. W stream. Glad we got to get in God's word and just learn more about that. And yeah, God bless y'all. And I